In this tutorial, I will teach you how to carve a cute little fox from start to finish. I try to show as much as possible, but feel free to change the playback speed if it's too slow for you. This tutorial is beginner friendly, and by the end of it you will have a lovely little figurine. Alright guys, let's start. So I'm using lime wood, which is the same as basswood, has same qualities. This is just what we call it in the UK. So if you live in the UK, you might want to look for some lime wood. And bear with me, I will be using imperial units. So the length of my block is around 2.5 inches, which is 6 centimeters, and it's 1 by 1 inch, so 2.5 by 2.5 centimeters. And so let's start. So the first thing we're going to do is, it's very small but important step, is just let's carve off the edge lightly, just a little bit. You will see later that it will be useful. Just a bit. You see, just tiny bit. It's going to be more convenient this way. And then we need to do some measurements. Let me take the ruler again, and so again bear with me because my imperial unit skill is not the best. So we need to find the head at first, and that is around 1 inch and 1/16. So something like that, 1 and 1/16, and in centimeters that is going to be 2 and around 6 or 7 millimeters. So this is going to be our head, and we simply going to outline it here. This is where the head is going to be, and now we need to find our ears. So that is going to be around 5/16, which is again a bit weird measurement to me, but what to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16. Again, this is just like very approximate, so you don't have to follow it exactly to the dot, you can just eyeball it. So take a little bit from the top for the ears, and some, I would say maybe it's like 1/3, a bit more than 1/3 of your block for the head. And now the last thing that we need to find is the sort of length of the head, and that is going to be around 9/16. And just give me a second and I'll find it. So it's 1/2 of the inch plus just a bit more, and in centimeters that is going to be, so 1 centimeter and about 3 millimeters. So I'm gonna find the same here. That's it. So again, if you want to just eyeball it, it's going to be a little bit oval, like an oval shape for your head. Here you go. And I'm just going to draw it, as you see. Here you go. So this is our head. And as you see, we're doing it here on the edge, so the edge is between, because our nose is going to be situated on this edge, so it's very convenient this way. And next, so we just need to outline ears just lightly, because we're gonna have to carve it again and then draw them again at some point. But so somewhere a bit lower, I guess as lower as possible, something like that here. And let's draw, yeah, something like that. So this is our ear. So just to make it symmetrical on the other side, you can draw a line like that, and back here. And this is how you know that this is where the ear ends. Something like that. And just draw it just approximately. Okay, done. The next thing what we do is just draw the body. Don't need any measurements, simply draw it a bit narrower here where the neck is and wider at the bottom. Here you go. You can even do it, you can do it as wide as possible because it's always easier to take off the wood that you don't need rather than to add. So, and then same here, but we're also going to have a tail on this side. So it's going to wrap around the body. So somewhere here, a bit lower. So it's going to go like this. And then it will go to this side. And the tip of the tail is going to be here. Here you go. So tail on this side continues here. So we have loads of wood around here that we need to get rid of, and normally I'm using my detail knife and I'm still going to use it today, but to get rid of these big chunks of wood I'm going to use a slightly bigger knife, which is roughing knife KN14, flex cut KN14. And yeah, so we're just gonna dive right into it, and I'm going to start by creating these big wide V's where my neck is. So just like that. And yeah, I really love this knife. It's really great for sort of big jobs. And detail knife is also great, but it would just take a tiny bit longer to do this. And so here you go, you see how quickly we already creating the line for our neck. I'm just going to continue. I'm using some push cuts, so when you're pushing with your thumb, here you go, you see, so taking all of these sharp edges as well. And this is pull cut, when you pull towards yourself. So, but be careful when carving towards yourself, because this is not very safe cut and you have to be really aware of where your knife is. And I normally hold my thumb firmly under my project. And of course, don't forget to wear gloves. So my gloves are really not that good. They are rather thin but flexible. This is what I like about them. But I advise you to get proper cut resistant gloves, especially if you're just starting out. Right, so this is one side, and here we're gonna take some as well, because we don't need all that wood. So what we're doing right now, we're just going around the outline, trying to get everything off from on this side that we don't need, using mixture of cuts. So here's a stop cut to make sure that the tail stays unharmed. Like, really control movements, don't let your knife slide and go all the way. Right. Okay, so this is we already having our body from this side. You can see how we're already getting the shape, and I'm going to continue here. Here again I'm doing the wide V, getting rid of all these chips, all this unwanted wood. It's gonna be a lot of it because our fox is going to be rather slim and gracious with a nice pointy nose. Right here as well. Taking all the big chunks, and you can do at the same time at the back because we're not going to need this sharp edge for sure, so you can round it. Right, all these corners as well, we absolutely don't need them. Be a bit more careful around the ears and the head, so you won't take off accidentally anything around here. So for that we're going to use stop cuts that will help us to preserve the features that we need. This wood is slightly hard, but it's okay. If you have a sharp knife, that shouldn't be a problem. And actually this fox can be carved out of any wood. It's quite a simple shape. So if you don't have basswood or limewood, you can try it with anything. The only thing that I would try it with some lighter wood, because we're going to paint it. And for example, if it's tulip wood, poplar it's also called, so you can paint poplar or maple, something like that. Although this might also look nice if it's carved in some, like, I don't know, like orange wood, or paduk for example, has nice red color, quite suitable for foxes. Right, here you go, we almost have one side. Just gonna take this sharpness away a bit. Here you go. Right, and same here. and around the ear. Again, I'm going to do the stop cut here. Right, and just gonna take off this bump. Just gonna clean up the shape a bit so that it is as close to the pencil line as possible, so that we have our shape that we can work with. Right, so, and the ears as well, just a bit more closer to the pencil line. Right, here you go. So the main part is done when we go around the outline, and so now we're gonna go sort of into details and into shaping the 3D form of our fox. So let's define our head, and we have this line, and we're just going to make another V cut to separate it from the rest of the body. Here you go, and then we're just going to deepen it because it is going to be more protruding than the body. So body can go very comfortably quite deep under the head. So you can start taking off quite a lot of wood. And we're going to continue this line so it goes all the way around, so that we have our head at the back as well. Here you go. And of course all that has to go at the back as well. But not all the way to the back, because we're going to have a tail that is going to continue here. So just remember about it. Right, And so at the back is going to be much smaller than it is now, but let's not get carried away because we need to do the front first, and that will determine how much we need to take off from the back. And so what next we can do is to take off some width here. So you see how I'm doing the slicing cut or stop cut, and I'm gonna start taking off some wood here because our ears are going to be much more to the back than they are now. So take off some wood, keep pushing it to the back. That's why it's important to have these lines established so that we know where the ears are next time when we're going to draw them again. And same here. Right, keep pushing it more and more. It's going to be quite considerable amount at the back, so if you look at this fox, for example, you see where it has. So let's do the same here. Of course, everything has to be done in moderation, so don't take off loads of wood. Always stop and see how much you're taking. So I'm gonna be doing the same here. I'm gonna stop and now work on the head itself, and then if we need, we're gonna push the ears a bit more. But at first, let's do the head. So right now it doesn't look like much, but now I'm going to draw a nose and it will change everything. So let's find our middle. So if you say that the middle is somewhere around here approximately, and then find a quarter. Right, so this is a quarter, and this is where our nose is going to be. And so we're going to carve according to that nose. I'm going to take my detail knife right now, although it doesn't matter, you can carry on with any knife you have. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the face. So everything from the nose is going to go a little bit down, so see what I'm going to do. Right, so it's going to be this sort of hemisphere and this curve, just like that. So just take little by little. Right, so you see that my cuts, they go from the nose and to the cheek. And same here, just take a little bit here. Right, here you go. So we sort of united the head with the nose here, creating these two curves. And now from the nose and, just going to take this one, from the nose and to the forehead, let's establish that. So here what we're going to do is so-called sweeping cut. So it's when you do this sort of motion. So a bit deep here, just above the nose. So leave the space for the nose and then go a little bit a little bit deeper at first, and then if you're carving across the grain, you can come from the other side. Here you go. So you see this sort of curve. So from one side, and then you can do it from the other. So whenever you feel the resistance, and if you realize that you're carving against the grain, so don't push it, otherwise you're gonna have to, it's gonna be a disaster. You're gonna take off a lot of wood. So come from the other side to meet it, and here you go. So this is going to be our nose, because it's a bit more protruding, and then it's going to go a bit deeper to the forehead. And I'm gonna push the forehead back a bit as well. So forehead, this part, just gonna push it right back. You see that? So we already have a profile. I'm just gonna do it a bit neater. But we can already see that this is going to be a nose. Right. Two sides of the face and the ears at the back. Right, so carry on a little bit more. So you can make this depth here a bit bigger, so that we have a more prominent nose. You see, like that. It's up to you how curvy you want it to make. So I'm just going to just a bit more, so that it has a nice pointy nose. Right, just like that. And then push the forehead a bit more as well. And now we can see that we can push the ears back as well, because they can't be right on the forehead, they have to be a bit further back. Right, so just a bit more here. Okay, I'm going to compare it with my other foxy and see that, yeah, it's very close. Maybe can push the forehead so that it's not like very straight, like a straight line, but it goes very smoothly towards the back. Right. So the ears, I'm just gonna push them just a bit more. There is no like a rule how far they should go, so you just can see for yourself. So approximately like that, I would say. So forehead, just a bit more, and then the ears. And what we're going to do, we're going to take off some. It's going to be quite hard to separate ears right now because it's quite thick here. So as soon as you establish where your ears are gonna start, you can work on where they're gonna end. So we're gonna take off some wood from the back as well. Can do the stop cut here to separate them from the head. So that can go a bit more. Just a bit more, so because they're not going to be very thick, our ears. So I'm gonna try to simplify my task by taking off as much as possible. And of course we see how much wood here is sticking out as well, so we're gonna have to carve that. And a bit more. Right, so it's all about stopping at some point. Yeah, I would say I'll stop here. And so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna draw our ears again. So let's just try to keep the symmetry. So if our central line here, aligning with the nose, somewhere here, then our ears should be symmetrical. And this is somewhere here. Right, and then I'm going to be doing the same here, trying to keep the symmetry again. Right, so you see something like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, but here we are. So we're gonna need to separate them. So go slowly, creating the V-cuts again. It might be a bit hard to carve here from this side. Going into the depth is a bit awkward, but luckily we don't have to do a lot of cuts here. It's just small ears. And if you have sharp knife, you'll be okay. I'm not trying to do a lot in one go. I advise you the same. It's a bit crumbly, and whenever you take a lot of wood, it's always can be unpredictable. Right, from this side. Getting that. So you see at this point you already have something that looks like a fox. So it's just very few cuts, but you can establish the shape quite quickly, make it recognizable. So it's not about elaborate designs, but about more noticing the characteristics of the object that you're carving. Just noticing some features, like with a fox. Fox is just somebody slender with pointy nose, bushy tail, and the colors are going to do all the difference as well. So I will try to make pointy ears here. This is what I'm working on. Taking off this edge. Right, getting there. So a bit here. So they have to be separated all the way. At the back as well. Right, so, and I'm just gonna take a bigger knife, so I'm gonna be switching in between. It's easier when you're doing some tough jobs to have a bigger knife. So I'm gonna go here a bit to the depth of it. Right, and we're going to clean it up a bit, but for now, let's also take off all that because it does look really awkward right now. So take off all this from the back, quite a lot of it, so you can take all this chunk. And establishing the neck at the back as well at the same time. Right, and here, so be careful here because you have your ears, so make sure you don't take them off by mistake. So really controlled movements, slowly, 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 like that. Here you go, and a bit more. So we're rounding it at the back. Until it doesn't look awkward anymore. So getting there. We have quite a lot of unnecessary wood here at the back. So yeah, you can, in the beginning, you can go like really generous with carving. Right, so this is quite close to the shape that we need. So at this point you can start going slowly and more carefully. Right, so how do you know when to stop? So it should look approximately like this, just so a bit longer in length than in height. Right, and at the same time, because we have a lot of here, like it doesn't have to be that thick here. So the back is going to be pretty straight until around here we're gonna have the tail that is coming out of the back. And let's actually outline it first with a knife. So This is on the side, and then let's create some stop cuts here as well, just to separate our tail from the rest of the body. Right. Use just the tip of your knife here so that it doesn't go all the way there and doesn't harm our tail. Just the tip, and so it's going to go all the way around. I'm just going to draw it with a pencil. So just find the middle, just approximately, and it's going to be somewhere here. You see, so here it is. What I'm going to do again, I'm going to do the slicing cut, right, and then carve up to that cut. Right, and then same here. So since our tail has to have some thickness, it's not going to be just very flat on the body. So you can take off quite a bit of wood just next to it, and it would be nice if it has some volume. Right, but I'm not going to concentrate on the tail all the time. I'm just going to take off some of this because it does look a bit awkward and annoys me a bit. So again, carefully, especially when you're doing the pull cut and you're carving towards, you have to be really, really controlled. And if you are not confident, better do the push cuts like that. Definitely more controlled and safer. Right, so a bit more here. And I'm going to continue going around and shaping the body so that it has nice overall smooth shape. And for that I'm going to establish the tail from this side. So again, the slicing cut, and we can take this square edge, of course, off. We're not gonna need it. Slicing cut from this side. What you can do, you can also turn it this way, and with the tip of your knife go like that next to it. Be careful, don't go under the tail, just go next to the tail. Like that. So be really aware of where the tip of your knife is. So I'm going to give the thickness to the tail, and at the same time I'm going to make the body more established, more smooth. Right, you see we're getting there. So make sure that you take off all these flat and sharp edges. So the body has to be like really oval, rounded shape. So you can take a look at your fox from all sides and see how wide your neck is. So here I can see that it's still quite thick. So that means I can take quite a lot from this side to make it narrower, and also to give some thickness to the tail. So I'm going to take some off, and at the same time the nose is going to come out a bit more forward. Right, so and overall, so when you're carving, try to give volume to all the elements. So for example, if you have a tail like that, don't leave it very thin. Give it some thickness so that it looks more natural. Even though this is not a realistic fox, it still has all elements. So it will look much nicer if the tail is quite thick. So for that I'm just going deeper next to the tail. Right. And also this edge from this side can also be rounded. By rounded I also mean so it can be more prominent here, but take off some wood here so that there is a curve going downwards. And from this side as well. Can clean up this one as well with the tip of your knife. And you see I'm taking off the sharp edges because it will look much nicer if there are no planes and sort of straight surfaces. And here as well, round downwards. And so using the very same techniques of going like that with the tip of your knife or stop cuts and simply going next to the tail, I'm going to make it just a bit more thicker and I will meet you there. Right, so I made it just a bit thicker. Remember that your body needs to have some thickness too, so don't get too carried away. And I'm just going to show you a few more things. So you see that there is this edge here, which is not very nice. And so just take off that edge and make the tail a bit more rounded. I'm using my detail knife here because it has a pointy end, which is very useful here. Right, and also at the back. So you see we have this little curve here. So again, with the tip of the knife, just go in and take off some wood. So that also creates this thickness. Right here, here. And same here, so you see that there is it's too sharp, this edge here. So also take that off, round it a bit. And also we're going to need to make it a bit thicker than that. So keep going deeper and then you can round at the same time. So like just like that. Let's do the ears a bit more slim and pointy. So it might be a bit awkward here, so you can use the push cut. The main objective is to make them pointy so there is no this edge here. So I'm gonna take that off. Right, you see this ear looks a bit better now. And I'm gonna do the same here. Right, and now what we're gonna do, we're going to, you can do it with a pencil first, although you don't have to. We can take a tip of the knife, just the tip, and then go like this. So follow the shape of the ear, but just inside. You see that? And then, so we're gonna create this kind of triangle. And then one more. And then also sort of undercut here. So we're gonna take off some wood inside the triangle shape. It's not gonna come out neatly, but we'll carve in a bit more. So you see, this is the beginning. And then you can continue shaping it. So you can go from this side and then undercut. Then you can go from this side and also undercut. You see how this wood is coming out. And so you can continue doing that until you're satisfied with the shape. I'm just gonna make it a bit longer here. So just to reiterate, you go from this side down there, and then cut there. Here you are. And then I'm just going to do the same on this ear. Just to show you again that I'm going tip of the knife in, like that. And then from this side, again, don't go too deep, it's just the tip of your knife, just slightly. You can always go deeper next time, but in the beginning you don't want to destroy your ear by mistake. So you see, you take out some wood and just continue deeper from this side, then undercut at the base, and then here as well, undercut from this side. and we're just gonna clean it up a bit. And also to clean it up, I'm using the shoe brush. I've seen it in Douglinka's video and I found it really useful. So just to get rid of all these fuzzies. So see for yourself how deep you want it. You can deepen it a bit more if you want. I think it's pretty good. I'm just going to clean it up a bit later, but the main thing is done. And what we're gonna do is from the back, so when they're just standing like this, you see like two blocks of wood. It's not really nice. I'm going to sort of make them leaning to the front. You see that? Like that. Just a few cuts and it's already looking much nicer. Right, and on this side as well. And you see this edge, take off that edge too, so that it's not square but rounded. You can play with their thickness. Say, for example, I think it's a bit too thick from this side, so I'm just gonna take off some. Right, so these are our ears. And what we have left is just a matter of cleaning up, making it so you see we have like too many facets. For example, what you can try to do is to minimize them. So normally it works well when you do the push cut. However, you can't always do it, especially if it's against the grain. So you can just try to take a bigger knife, just smooth it all out. Take off all the fuzzies, or if you see there are some scratches, for example, like here, you can just clean it up a bit. So here it is, I cleaned it up a bit and we have our shape. What we can do, we can also round it a bit here to the bottom so that it goes sort of this way. You see that? So we can carve off some wood here. So it creates just a nice curve like that. Right, and the last couple of things that we have left is we can do the tip of the tail. So you could really just use paint and do it with a white paint, but it will look much nicer if you do it with a knife first. So actually let me just round it a little bit. So the main point is to remove all the sharp edges here so that it's nice and rounded. And then we're going to draw a very simple shape with kind of 3 points. So there is going to be 1 point in the middle, another one goes like this to the side, and the third one also is going to go here. So this is our tip of the tail, and we're just going to follow that with a tip of the knife as well, and then carve towards it just like any other stop cut and slicing cut. Here you go, and now just slowly carve up to that. You see that, and then just the piece of wood is going to pop. Might not be very neatly, especially if you're carving across the grain. So just do it slowly. Here you go. So just sort of give it some definition so that it is separated from the rest of the tail. Another shape is going to be on the chest. So similar shape, just a bit bigger. It's going to be 1 point, then another in the middle, sort of under the nose, and one more here. Here you go, and we're going to do the same. I will follow it with a knife. And then it's going to be a bit awkward if you try to carve like this, so we're going to, again, like we did with the tail, I'm just going to dip the tip of my knife in the wood and just follow. Here you go, create some thickness. And the same here, all along the perimeter of the shape. So this is our fox. This is what it looks like from the front, from the side, and from the back. Now we're going to paint it, and you're going to need 3 colors only really. So 1 red, white, and also orange. I'm going to thin it out a little bit with water. So this way the acrylic colors are going to have transparent quality, and you will be able to see the wood underneath the paint. I'm just going to do the body first. I'm going to paint it all the way, but leave these 2 shapes because they're going to be white. So we're going to have white here, but not only, also on the cheeks. So I painted the body, but I left the head because we need to lightly draw this oval shape, a little bit like a teardrop of some sort, just here on the cheek. Or you can do it straight with the paint, depends how confident you are. So basically you see here. And now I'm going to paint with orange the rest of the head, but just leave these areas because we're going to paint them white a bit later. And same for the ears, they can be all painted with orange. And now let's paint with white these areas. Now let's try to establish where our eyes are going to be. So maybe somewhere here. Just make 2 dots with a pencil and then we're going to paint them with a black color. And then while we have some black on our brush, we can paint nose, also just a black dot in the middle. Now just a few tiny bits left. Remember I told you about the red color? We can use it for our ears, just inside the ear. Just put some red there and then sort of blur it out a little bit. Last but not least, some decorations, and for that I'm just going to make little dots in random places. So for example, let's say 4 dots here and then 4 dots on this side. With the same red you can add some lines around the eyes as well. Just like that. And now get some white again on your brush and do the same here. Let's add some little dots. They will blend in quite nicely with red. It's nice and cute, and I really want to see your foxes, so don't forget to tag me on Instagram. See you in the next lessons.